same type of thing as far as the licenses are concerned. They're going to shut the whole damn thing down in a few years. And then, you know, guys like us that you get some businesses going pretty well, and that's what's happening here, is there's been this resurgence of mega money people coming in, corporate money people coming in, real estate investors and brokers coming in, buying up everything and investing in shit, because all they want to do is sell all these goddamn dispensary licenses and retail licenses in a few years down the road, because they know that all of the damn big tobacco and pharmaceutical companies are going to come and they're going to pay big dollars for that shit. Big dollars for it. So a lot of these guys are just coming in, buying, like, getting licenses, holding on to them just to cash them out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. What's the minority representation in the cannabis business like right now, as far as percentages?
4.5% of retail licenses. About 2.5% is Asian. 80-something% is white that own the retail licenses. The disparity is just alarming. But we make up 40% of all of the cannabis-related offenses that are incarcerations and arrests. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So how is that possible?
Yeah.
85% of all the people that are arrested in the hood are cannabis-related offenses. So they put cannabis in the hood so that you can get arrested and put you in the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're in the system. I mean, shit. What do you do now? What do? You got guys going to jail for petty possession crimes, and then they're losing all their rights. They can't vote. You know what I'm saying? You can't get welfare. You can't get food stamps.
Yeah. I
mean, you're literally set up to just fail. There's nothing that you can actually do from a petty cannabis charge.
Yeah, and so that keep you in the streets.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. While on the flip side, while they're making billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Billions of dollars. Okay? And I said it in the video. I was like, dude, I mean, in comparison, NFL's doing $13 billion, man. We were talking about how much money this is. Like this shit literally doubles. This shit doubles the fucking NFL in revenue. For real.
Mm-hmm.
That's how big this shit is, and they can't even advertise.
Yeah.
I mean, when's the last time you've seen a cannabis advertisement? You have not.
No. You see like clinics and, like smoke shops, as they put it,
Exactly.
Paper.
Exactly. Now, this is a consumable, man. So it's, they're going to continue to need it and want it. We can never produce enough of it. So, I mean, if you're going to get into a business, you might as well get into a business that people are always going to need, and they're just going to eat it and consume it and want to buy more of it. Shit. And it's medicine. It damn sure is.
Absolutely. This kind of reminds me, it's funny that you got into this, because I know you've been to this for a while. Over the past year or so, I've been partnered up with an organization called Relevant. It's a new social networking app with an emphasis on the college crowds and, sports. They're tight with Fanatics and a lot of the sports radio stations around here. Got about 100,000 users on the thing so far.
Wasn't Maul on this thing or something?
Yeah, me and Maul do the Uplift, which is
he mentioned it to me. He talked to me about it like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and he's really taken the lead as far as reaching out with some of our Black-owned cannabis entrepreneurs here in the Southeast, particularly here in Northeast Florida,
right.
Our peoples and folks like that. So this ties in like some of the stuff that we're talking about here. I'll be using some of these quotes in the next upcoming issue of the Uplift. And they've been out, the CEO has been out to California, talked with a few entrepreneurs out there. So we're trying to kind of get all this together. We're launching a streaming audio service called WDVL. In a few weeks, we're going to try to get that rolled out in time for the NFL draft. And that's largely sort of sports talk radio based. We got Tom McManus and a few of the Jaguar people. They're going to be in on that.
Nice.
Now, say from in terms of licensing and the equity and whatnot, how complicated is the process of getting licensed and certified to be in the industry? Like, I know that, like in Florida, vertical integration is still a big deal. And
Yep.
so from just kind of walk me through the steps that someone would go through if they want to go ahead and start investing in that business, or maybe get involved in the business themselves.
Well, the only way to get into the business is through the equity program. The equity program requires you to live in a certain police beat in Oakland, California, and it requires you to make a certain amount of money and prove that, or be convicted of a marijuana offense in Oakland, California after 1996 are the requirements. And Oakland, California, the income requirement is, I think, is like might be like $64,000, which is like literally poverty here. You know, it's very expensive to live here. So, you know, it's a lot of people don't. I mean, a lot of people, it's hard. You know, it's a lot of people fit that criterion because they live in the hood, and that's basically what it is. Live in the hood, make very little bit of money, and those are the people that are in first line to get these equity licenses. And it's not very difficult. It's a matter of them knowing about it, filling out the information, submitting the paperwork, and it pretty much, you know, they're pretty much in if they meet the requirements. And then they just have to do their own due diligence, apply for whatever license they need. But it goes back to what I was saying to you before. The licenses are attached to real estate. So they need partners because none of them have the money and resources to be able to do it. Now, how it works is they are required mandatorily to own 50% of those licenses. So that puts them in a position of power where they at least have control of 50% of the license itself. Mm-hmm. Now, the business can mean a whole nother thing because businesses have operating agreements that have different outlines and how profit is done. In California, you're allowed to have a business where you can own a large percent of the business and not necessarily a large percent of the profits. So that's how a lot of these deals are getting structured here, and to get around the legal standpoint of it. So to answer your question, as an outside investor, you know, you could come to California, you could partner up with an equity applicant here in California, mm-hmm. and you could put the funding behind this equity applicant, and you could open a business together. And then you can work out the terms between you and the equity applicant, depending on what type of business you want to run, because there's several different aspects. There is the cultivation aspect, there is the manufacturing aspect, there is the distribution aspect, and there is the retail aspect of it.
And you can jump in any one of those four components. You don't have to, because I believe in Florida you have to be doing all of those things at once. Correct. Right?
And that's the reason why Florida has the legislation going on right now, because, you know, the litigation going on right now because of that, because it's forcing people to be in a position to be vertically integrated, and only white people can be vertically integrated, because that means you got to have the money to be able to do it. And that's not fair. And so they need to fix that. And that's what we need to be talking about on it, and make sure they understand that that's not equity. That's not fair. You know what I mean? And so that's not what it is here. You know, obviously you still got to have the resources to be able to, you know, start a business, but you can at least get that license, mm-hmm. and you can at least leverage that license to get those businesses open. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now in California, they've been fully legalized for years now. I believe then Washington State, Oregon were like the first three to really go all in on it. It's been several years now, and you're saying there's still room for growth in California with this industry.
It's I mean, right now we went recreation in 2017. Yeah, I believe 17, 18. I think it was 18. Might have been 18. And there is a tremendous amount of growth because of a lot of the cannabis tourism. A lot of people come here from other states to be able to, you know, consume California products. The Cali products have a reputation around the world, so. You know, it's always going to have a driving economy for cannabis, and it's the most ideal place to grow. I mean, it's the science behind it too. You know, it's the environment that allows them to grow the outdoors, so we can provide like a huge percentage of the market that's being out there. All that outdoor crops are going east in most cases. We don't sell a lot of that stuff out of the dispensaries because most of the people here want higher end stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's all going east in most cases.
Now you mentioned you mentioned cannabis tourism. Tell me a little bit about that, because I'm sure are there like travel agencies that specialize in that, or like what would that really entail?
Well, no, not really. I mean,
or just people, individual people coming out just on their own?
Yeah. In most cases, people are wanting to go to, some of the most beautiful, fantastic cannabis retail shops that they can go to. And they get a chance to have some of the stuff that they know is legitimate. So a lot of stuff that you buy, and if you can't buy it from a store, you don't know if it's the actual, for instance, the packaging will say one thing, but the product inside the packaging could be something completely different.
Right.
You don't know if it's the real Skittles or if what the information on the bag is actually what it is. You know what I'm saying? And that's important. Some people want to know and want to try what the real biscotti is, or what real True Runs are, and what real Skittles are. They want to know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And then, man, I've been to some dispensaries that are just absolutely phenomenal as far as like the setup is. Now it's all like who can do it the fattest and the best and the nicest now. Yeah. So it's an experience. It's a real experience, man. You go down to Los Angeles, there's a place called Stizzy's down there. And it's probably the baddest dispensary I've ever seen. It may be like 10,000 square feet type shit. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Seriously. Seriously. So, you got that, and then you got the regular mom and pops type stops, that are really small and cool, and you get a chance to talk to somebody. It doesn't feel like you're in like the Walmarts, because you got Walmart of dispensaries, and then you got the mom and pop stores of dispensary now. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a lot of overlap between that and other industries? Like, I know that the cannabis and the music industry are very tight. Do you have places out there that are, say, like a dispensary that's also a record store, or say a restaurant or cafe that's got edibles as up on the menu?
Well, they're trending in that direction. Legally, they're not allowing that to happen at the moment. They have the very first license that they opened up in California called a consuming license. And we're basically consumption lounges. So kind of getting towards what they do in Amsterdam, where they have the cafes and coffee shops. There's only one of those in Los Angeles at the moment. They're supposed to be getting one of those here in Oakland. So they're slowly but surely moving in that direction. Slowly but surely. But, I mean, cannabis drives so many industries. I mean, from music to pop culture to clothing and then there's already so many different offshoots of what the cannabis industry can provide as far as careers. I mean, you got technology, you have cannabis security, you got the testing part of it. There's a whole nother, angle of it. There's just so many different ways to make money these days. Yeah. That you don't even have to deal with flour to make money. There's a guy he found out that the law was changing and it was going towards the child-proof packaging. So he got a head start on that. And so, he made all this money off of just getting everything ready for child-proof packaging. And so, it's a game that's constantly changing and trending in a lot of different directions. So you just got to stay on top of it and know. And when you do, you make money. Yeah.
Have you heard much about the interaction between the cannabis industry and cryptocurrency lately?
Yes.
Yes. Tell me a little bit about that, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around that stuff.
Well, the deal is that cannabis is a cash industry because we can't put it in federally protected banks.
Yeah.
So that's a major problem when you're dealing with a dispensary that's doing, I don't know, $100,000 a week in some cases.
That creates security issues.
It creates security issues and moving cash. I don't know, when's the last time you've seen $100,000 cash?
Never.
But it can be kind of cumbersome sometimes.
Yeah. Not yet. Maybe this year. We'll see.
So a lot of big cannabis guys are taking their money down to Los Angeles. and they are trading their cash for Bitcoin, so they can transfer and move cash around a lot easier. So that is the new wave, and there's not a whole lot of guys doing it, but there are a lot of guys trending towards it. And it's going to probably be even more and more common for us because of the, just not being able to use banking systems. It's the problem. They have to, and then the banks that we do use, the fees are just through the roof. I mean, it's astronomical fees, right? So, Bitcoin is a hell of a lot cheaper.
Yeah. Is there some renewed optimism within the industry with this new administration coming in? You think we'll be able to move a little bit faster on some of this legislation?
Well, I mean, there's some optimism and some not, because you have a lot of you have some guys that have licenses that don't want everyone to have licenses. I mean, it makes it less competitive for them. You know what I mean?
That's what
I'm in the lane of full decriminalization.
Yeah.
You understand? Full decriminalization, full legalization. But decriminalization is the most important thing to me, because I don't want anyone locked up in jail for it. You know what I'm saying? I can care less if the United States government wants to make money off of it. They can kiss my ass, as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying? The state governments are making money off of it right now. Okay. I just don't want nobody going to jail. And I want anybody that's locked up to be released. That's my number one priority. Now, the legalization part of it, that's great. I wanted to trend in that direction next, because that opens up more opportunities for us all to make money. But like I said, decriminalization first is most important to me. And then in regards to Biden and Harris, Harris, yes, because she's been on videos talking about, she's from Oakland, California, man.
True.
Okay. I mean, she's from Oakland. So
but she knows all this back and forth.
She's from Oakland, California. She's from East Oakland.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, for real. Like, real shit. So, she knows what's up. You know what I mean? And so it may not be on this particular run or this run here, but she's going to definitely be involved with, what's going to be happening in the Democratic political, organization for a few years, if you ask me. With her ascending to vice president at 57 years old. Isn't she like 57?
Yeah, she's got a good 15, 20 years to go.
Absolutely.
And she's a likely next person to run, I tend to assume that Biden, being 78 years old, that he's going to be one and done. He's going to come in this year. I mean, for this 4-year term, do as much as possible. And then
move out the way.
I'm thinking 2023 or so, before the 2024 primaries, he announces that he's not going to run again, and he's just going to pass the torch officially to Harris, so that she can have a nice, clean opportunity to win it on her own right, kind of like Reagan did with Bush in 1988.
I agree.
And the Republicans kind of see this coming, so they're building up all their crazy white ladies. They got their Nikki Haley's and this and that, because it's going
to be the crazy white lady shit going on next.
Yeah, because Republicans really want, from a historical perspective, they want the bragging rights of saying that the first female president was a Republican.
Right.
That allows them to kind of just hijack the narrative of feminism, in U.S. culture. I mean,
that makes so much sense. I didn't think about it that way, but you have a way of words, my friend.
And they know that Harris, coming from East Oakland, being a former prosecutor, being basically the heir to that whole, Northern California.
She's a threat.
Yeah, all the Harvey Milk and the Dianne Feinstein and the Nancy Pelosi, she's kind of the heir to, and the Willie Browns and stuff. She's kind of the heir to that system. Coupled with her experience in Washington, she kind of has like you were talking about building up a future president. Like, you're getting every little resume point you need, same as you would be preparing someone to play NFL quarterback. Like, what are the components of the skill set that you need? They're kind of lining that up for.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about how there are some companies that have licenses that may not want other people to have licenses. I'd like your insight professionally about what happened in Florida last year. To recap, basically, there was there's a plan to do a petition drive to get full legalization, decriminalization in Florida on the November 2020 ballot. And in order to do that, they needed to get 766,000 signatures on the petitions by, I believe, February 1st, 2020. And there was one group that started out with the petition drive, but in their version of the petition, it included a provision for home grow, which would allow individuals to grow their own supply in their homes or whatever. And the industry some members, some of the key distributors out here were not into that. They felt that allowing for home grow would somehow undercut their profits. So they started their own petition drive that didn't have the home grow provision. And they're both basically almost word for word the same two petitions. But instead of all joining forces, they were doing these two separate petitions. And between the two, particularly on the one funded by the distributors, they spent, I believe, $4 or $5 million on these petitions, and they ended up getting, I believe, 200,000 signatures over the course of a year. So it tanked, and now there's no opportunity to get it on the state ballot until, they're hoping maybe 2022 they can get it. But then that would entail like these two bickering sides.
They need that much time. They need that much time to sort all this stuff out and understand that it's about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And it's about everybody getting medicine and not about just a few getting medicine and just a few making money off of it. And that's what has to be understood all the way through. And Florida is light years behind. So they need to get hip to what's going on. And it's going to take progressive people like myself using a platform of a television show to start talking about these issues and talking about people and putting them to the test. And like, okay, well, let's talk, let's put up or shut up here. What are your real true agendas? Is it about legalization of cannabis, or is it about your own personal financial gains?
Yeah.
And it's that is the beauty of what we can do with Black Smoke White Ash is it has so many different directions that it can go in and what it can be and what it can be used for. And it can probably be used for all those things all at the same time simultaneously, to be honest with you. Just like any platform, any media platform.
And and if the progressives, as far as Florida goes, it really nationally in general, progressives can get on board and present a united front. There's a decent amount of conservative Republicans that can be sort of shaved off and brought in league with this because seniors play such a big role in this process, especially the medical process here in Florida and the veteran community. And there's a whole libertarian strain of Republicans that take an attitude of, like the less regulation you have, the more freedom everyone has, which means more money for everybody. And, you talk to some of these people in Florida, when they see the kind of tax revenue that's being generated by places like California, Oakland, Washington, like that's really appealing to a lot of them. Like that's because it's basically free money. And then you're like getting less, you're having less prison beds, less jail beds, less man hours for law enforcement being taken up, which can then be applied to other areas because there are so many other things that are, pissing people off. I mean, I hear, even these like anti-illegal immigration people, some of them support legalization because it's like, that's more law enforcement resources to be put towards the border, to be put towards cybercrime or towards terrorism or, sex trafficking, which is becoming a bigger and bigger thing in the public consciousness.
Right.
Now, tell me about, with Black Smoke White Ash, where are some of the places that you went to in the course of shooting the sizzle reel? And just tell me a bit about, it's always fun seeing these travels that you do. Like, what's the process been like of making these connections in multiple continents?
Man, I've always been a guy that just kind of follows whatever the spirit is leading me. I had no idea how this whole television show was going to play itself out. It just happened the way that it did, and I just followed it. And what I mean by that is, I had a bunch of guys meet me in Colombia, Medellin, because that's where I go. I had a girlfriend down there that I was seeing at the time. I'm not with her anymore, but we were dating. So I invited a bunch of friends down there because we just kind of party and we hang out and we have a good time down there. And these guys are all, progressive businessmen that, want to get into cannabis. So I felt like that would be a great opportunity.
Sure.
To have, these conversations about cannabis. And it just so happens that I shot the actual episode 1, the footage I shot was in Pablo Escobar's condo.
Wow.
So I kind of set the whole mood and the whole feel for the vibe of being in Pablo Escobar's condo and talking about laying down an enterprise for, some real major type, stuff, And so while I was there, I got the idea of the whole Dubai thing more so than anything. I had my boy Naughty. You know Naughty anyway. You know Naughty.
I think so.
Yeah, you know Naughty. You met him before. But anyway, I had Naughty call me up, and he's in Dubai. And so he had a lot of relationships and friends over there, and that's how the international stuff kind of happened. Was just God just making this whole thing happen. With people that I know, and the guys that ended up meeting in Dubai were friends with my personal assistant that lives in London. All these things just happen to tie themselves together this way. And so I didn't know how I was going to get to Dubai. I didn't know when I was going to Dubai. I just knew that I was going to Dubai, and I just filmed it that way. And I said, well, I'm just going to let the spirit kind of make it happen for me and how it's supposed to happen. And I talked about, I wanted to see the Burj Khalifa in episode 1, but I had no idea that I was going to actually have a meeting in the Burj Khalifa.
Yeah.
For episode 3, that's this. I kind of manifested it into reality, to be honest with you. And that's what this whole story is kind of about too. Is the perfect randomness of it.
Yeah.
Of how all these things have been kind of unfolding is just unique. And and so my lawyer, the background of my lawyer is, I met him through John Otto, actually. He's actually, his background is entertainment first. And, and just in conversation with him about other entertainment stuff that I was doing, he mentioned that he was, investing in cannabis stuff. And, and that's what I do for a living. So the irony of that, kind of is how we came together to form the group that we have, And then meeting my assistant, Jay, who lives in London. I met this guy when I was in London a few years ago. Listen to this story, Sheldon. This is crazy. I was in London a few years ago to meet these guys about some cannabis investment stuff. I was at the Hilton Hotel, the West Bank Hilton Hotel or something like that, right? And I'm sitting at the bar. It's like the last 2 days of my trip. And, I've done all my meetings. I'm just kind of hanging out at the bar, and I'm having a couple drinks. And there's this kid, there's a bartender. He's just, talking, we're talking to him a little bit. He ends up telling me that he's got an exchange student program to go to Florida. I said, oh, wow, man, I'm from Florida. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm supposed to go to this city called Jacksonville, Florida, to go to school for, for business. And I said, like, what? The irony of it, that I know, that I'm from Jacksonville. I'm sitting in front of this guy, and we were just talking, and I sat there for like a couple hours and had some drinks, and I was telling him about the cannabis stuff I was doing, And so he was like, man, I'm so glad to be talking to you about this, because I'm so, excited about this industry. And we kept in touch over the years. I told him that at the time, I was like, yeah, I'm trying to get my licenses, and, I got this and that going on, and I'm working towards this and working towards that. And, and then once I got the licenses, I kind of put it on my Instagram page, and he saw it, and he's like, bro, do you remember, the conversation that we had, So anyway, he never made it to Jacksonville because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And all kinds of other things. But I just felt how unique it was to have met this guy. And then he ends up turning me on to the guys that are investing in me from Dubai. Okay.
Wow.
And so that we have another relationship with the Qatari royal family that I'm actually supposed to be meeting with when I go to Dubai in a few weeks. So it's just been random stuff. I couldn't have called it. I couldn't have thought that it would actually happen this particular way. it just happened this way, you know? And it's so damn interesting.
Yeah.
It really truly is. It's so damn interesting. And
how much footage have you shot for the project so far?
I shot a whole shitload of stuff, man. I mean, I got so much footage, it's ridiculous, man. We haven't, you know, I'm gonna start releasing some stuff on the webpage, you know, just little clips and stuff just to let people see other stuff. But I did a lot of shooting in Medellin. I did shooting in Los Angeles. I did shooting in Oakland. I did some shooting in Dubai. That's the only places I shot. To piece together the sizzle reel.
Yeah. So you've got enough footage to go ahead and, like, you know, if someone wanted to like stream some stuff, you could probably have a couple episodes like ready to go from the footage you've already shot. Yeah,
from the footage I have right now, I could easily get a few episodes, you know, and like if I wanted to just do it on my own, you know, I know how to do it now. I could probably do the entire season probably with fucking $100,000, man. I probably could, you know, like, more so than anything. Cause I have enough for 3. All I would need is probably like maybe 7 more episodes, right? We shoot 1 in Jacksonville. That's easy for us to do. You know, I was thinking I'll do something in Atlanta and I'll fill out like another episode or 2 in Oakland because it's like the home base. And, you know, you could probably try to throw in another international trip in there, like to London or something, if you got the budget. But that would be enough to do a whole season right there. Seriously. Whole season.
What kind of equipment do you use to shoot the stuff and to edit and all that?
You know, I wish I could tell you. I'm not the technical guy. You know, I kind of weeded through a lot of different people to find the right people. And this was another scenario of spirit again. Yeah. Because I went to Colombia having not met the videographer or the editor before. Okay. Yeah. And I fucking like nailed it because this is a female who's the editor, by the way. She's young. She's like about 22, 23 years old. Yeah. And she's fucking phenomenal. Like she's a fantastic editor. The best person, the easiest to work with. So they shot everything when we were down in Colombia, and I didn't even know these people. And so we just kind of put the storyline together. And most important to tell you is nothing was written down. Nothing. This was not, nothing was written down. We just did it all at the top of our head. It was all freestyle. It was, basic, conversations and, whatever it is we wanted to talk about or whatever it is I felt like talking about at the time is what you got in the sizzle reel. It's really organic, the conversations. They weren't scripted as much. The Dubai stuff had a little bit more scripting in it. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it was pretty organic.
Yeah, and it's often better that way. You can go ahead and like improvise and just, and get the raw footage. You can, and it's easy. It's almost like writing an article. You can always come back around later and apply this and create the structure. Get your little intros and outros and bumpers to connect the footage you have. But when you got just that spontaneous kind of raw energy of the setting and of the experience, that really comes through in video, and that's what the viewers and the listeners really react to, I think.
Right.
What is how can people find out more about the project and about everything else that you're doing?
Right now, you can go online to blacksmokewhiteash.com. You can take a look at the trailers there, the complete sizzle reel. I'm going to be putting some behind the scenes content on there pretty soon. I'm working on some merchandise right now. Kes Rock is hooking up some graffiti for me right now.
Excellent.
For some stuff. So that right now, that's what I'm driving people to. I have some major producers that have seen the project so far, and they are really, really loving it. So I'm thinking to get a production deal on the table really soon. And I'm thinking that we should get this in front of a network and sold to a network even faster. So I would think, I would say give it a month maybe, and we should probably be ready to get started. And then what happens next is we take this idea that I have and I get with some real pros. Yeah. And we start figuring out how to make it into a real network television show.
Yeah.
And start shooting it. And I think it's going to incorporate some of the same elements that you see.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the important things that I wanted to say was that music, if you notice stylistically, it's almost like a hip hop video kind of, the way that I kind of edited it and the way that we use the music and stuff.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use unsigned artists to be the soundtrack for the television show.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can work it out, I'd like it to have the same type of format as Chappelle's show had, where there's like a performance at the end of whoever it is that is particular on that particular season.
Perfect.
And, it'd be ideal if it's an artist that is in that particular area that I'm at, because I am anticipating it's going to be a lot of traveling involved with it, so if I'm in New Orleans talking to somebody about cannabis, and be, that particular episode have a New Orleans artist featured on it, and then you'd have some music by that artist at the end. It's a little small, 2 minutes, so maybe a video clip or whatever at the end, or a performance of some sort, kind of similar how Chappelle did his thing. Because I want this to be, it's about marketing my business primarily, obviously, my brand, but it's also about exposing and giving some exposure to people that don't get it. And that haven't been getting it, especially with cannabis not being able to advertise. So us black and brown people are going to have a hard time even more to market and promote. So that's what I want to use it for, as a platform for the people that don't have a platform.
Yeah. And with the music stuff, after you do a whole season, can take all the music performances, put that out as like a compilation on like a piece of vinyl or something like that.
That's the whole thought. It's a soundtrack. And so the Black Smoke White Ash is a brand now, is what it is. So I'm going to create a premium cannabis brand line for Black Smoke White Ash that I sell out of my retail stores, and that I'll eventually sell out of other retail stores. So it's going to be a brand, so that's the idea for that particular brand. And I'm going to work on some branding stuff for, and I've just talked to John Otto and Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit about creating their own brand, and their own cannabis line, or something that is a rocker line, and putting that out. And then I, staying on the lines of the medical side of True, which creating a True line, which is a line that I'm literally trying to give away for free. I just want to medicate with that particular line. So it's going to be some branding going on, a lot of branding going on, products.
Yeah. And are you okay with all this going up on the YouTube? So.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay. I made sure with my questions to not get too proprietary or anything. If you could, I've got the link for Black Smoke White Ash. If you could later on email me any links for anything that you'd want listeners to check out, I can put all that in the description box with all the hashtags and whatnot.
Sure.
And this is mainly, I'm using some of the quotes from this for the next Uplift, and we've started this whole Uplift Ed, we call it, which is cannabis. It's a whole cannabis focused vibe on the service. If you could do me a favor, I'd like it if you could maybe download the app and just try it out. Just like pull it up and like take a look and see like if it pings with anything in the different areas that you're at, because we're working to expand it. But of course, it's largely Northeast Florida based right now.
Got you. No doubt. I believe that Jamal sent it to me. I'm not sure. I need to take a look. If not, send it over to me again.
We'll do. No
doubt.
All right.
And are you using just audio? You're just using audio, correct?
For the app?
Yeah.
Yeah, the app is mostly streaming audio, but then the vibes, you can throw in links for like the YouTube, the Instagram. It's interactive with all the other social media forums,
Gotcha.
We're starting, and we'll be rolling out streaming video later this year. Right now, we start with the streaming audio because so much of our connections are with the sports talk radio market and the podcast market.
I can dig it. Sounds good to me, man.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for talking with me. I will be talking much more to come in the weeks and months ahead. Congratulations on everything you've been doing.
Thanks, man.
I've been watching you grind for a quarter century now, and it's always entertaining and educational. So thanks for what you're doing for the community.
Hey, man, thanks. I appreciate what you're doing also.
Thank you. Thank you. You have a good day, sir.
Okay, take care, brother. Talk to you soon.
You too.